It's a great pleasure and honor to be here at the Delhi chapter of the CIF Club on the first anniversary. And I really was very happy that I got this invitation because, once a salesman, always a salesman. So I've basically come to sell you on what we do and why I think it's something that all of you should think of in your business. I'll briefly talk about the project for maybe 20-25 minutes and try to give you an overview of what's happening and where we stand. And then I'd like to throw the floor open for discussion, questions, and whatever things that you'd like to know about. Basically, I'll talk about what is it we do, why is this such an important issue of identity, what are the benefits we see, what are the features of our approach, and some of the applications we are thinking of which we think are quite disruptive, and obviously some of the risks that we see. A few things which hopefully, I'm sure you guys get it, because I still go to places and they say, when is your card coming? And say, it's not a card, it's a number. So, it does sometimes I get irritated, but I don't show it. They say, where's your card? Where's your card? No card, it's a number. So fundamentally we are giving a number, because we think it's about software, it's about a number, it's not about a card. The number can then be used by anybody in any kind of token they want. They want to use it as a card, they can use it as a smart card, they can use it as a mobile phone. For us, those things are all tokens that different customers give to people. We are really going to give the person a number. But what is important is that we are going to give you a unique number. That's really the value proposition that we have. And therefore, we are going to make sure that you don't have more than one number. And therefore, one number, one person, one number. That's really the key value add that we do. And the only way we feel we can do that is by using biometrics. And we're going to use biometrics and essentially make sure that the biometric packet is good enough to be unique to every individual. And then whenever a person comes in to enroll into our system, we're going to compare his biometric information with all the biometrics that we have to see whether he's trying to get a number on some other name. And that's how we're going to reject duplicates. Now this is a massive deduplication challenge. Manoj, lots of this. And it's basically because the largest biometric deduplication that has gone on is projects like the US visit and FBI and all that, where the database size is about 120 million. And we are talking about a database size of 1.2 billion. So the complexity comes because let's say that 3-4 years from now, we have say 400 million people in our database and 1 million new people come to enroll into our system. Then in the space of that one evening before the next day's data comes, each of those million records has to be compared against all 400 million and either accepted as a new number or rejected as a duplicate. And we'll do that every day. So, it requires huge amount of scale, huge amount of parallel processing, computing power, all that good stuff. So that's the plan. And we will, so basically at the end of the day, we hope to have this tank full of people's numbers and their biometrics and no duplicates. Now the number itself is a 12-digit number, it's a random number, so you can't choose your numbers, there's no binary numbers here. You get what you see, you get what you get. And it's an egalitarian number, whether it's Manoj or some guy in a village in Bihar, one number only. So you can't get more than one number. So it's a very flat, egalitarian kind of a thing. And we will issue this number in a batch mode. It's not online. Basically, we'll collect enrollment data from our partners, run it against the database, reject duplicates, issue numbers, send them a letter. So actually the operation is quite simple, except the scale is very large. And we will not have any transactions in it. We are just a tank of name, number, and biometrics. We don't have any transactions in our database. Now, what is it that we collect? Again, what we collect is very, very simple. The data we collect is just the name, the date of birth, the parent's name, the gender, and the address. In fact, this would be very less than many of the applications today. This is all we need. We need proof of identity and proof of address. That's all we're trying to verify in our system. And on the biometric side, we are going to capture all the 10 fingerprints, the face, and both the iris. And we'll use an iris camera to take a picture of this. And we feel that the 10 fingerprints plus iris, which is the multimodal way of biometrics, we think is required because of the scale of the challenge. Because we want to make sure There are no duplicates over such a large number of people. Now, what is important and what I think I'd like you to really think about is the fact, not the fact that we give numbers, which is important, but an even more important thing, we are going to give online authentication. Online, real-time authentication on Rajiv's and other people's mobile phones. Anywhere where mobile connectivity is there, you can do authentication. All you need for authentication is a cell phone with a fingerprint reader. In another year or so, you'll have cell phones with a fingerprint reader on the cell phone. So this device will be enough to authenticate. And what you do in authentication is that, let's say that I go to a place to get some service, and that person wants to verify my identity. Then he asks for my name, my number, and I put my finger on his mobile phone. And in real time, using GPRS or whatever, he will talk to my server, confirm he's the person, and get an answer back in a few seconds. So this online real-time authentication is the heart of the value proposition that we have. And if you go to our website, you will see the APIs. We will provide authentication APIs. We'll give it as a library, as a set of calls, XML, whatever you want. And this authentication API can be called from a mobile phone or from an internet point or from your program or whatever, but it's a completely open API so that you can embed authentication into your applications. And that's really why we think that this kind of an open API-based architecture is giving you a service. It's like a service on a cloud, which you can then embed in any one of your applications for any purpose that you have. And the only answer we will give is yes or no. So you can't read our database. You can't say what's this guy's birthday or where does he stay. You can't ask that. You can only say, here's this person in front of me whose name is this, his number is this, this is his fingerprint. In your database, is he the same guy? And we'll come back and say, yes, this is the same person as per our database. So the only answer is yes or no. And it's a 1:1 check. It's only one person to the database. It's not a search. It's a 1:1 check. And I can't see somebody else's details. Now, please understand that this is multiple authentication. So ultimately, you can have self-service authentication. For example, I can authenticate myself on my phone to somebody, and then that through a trusted channel, he knows that it's me. And then maybe I can do a financial transaction or mobile top-up or whatever it is. And therefore, it really opens up a lot of things that you can do with this technology. Now, primarily, when the government is doing this, it's doing it to help the poor and the marginalized. Because what we find in India is they are the people who have the challenge of identity. All the people in this room don't have a problem of identity. They have passports and driver's license and club memberships and credit cards and all those kind of things. But you'll be surprised, but there's a huge number of people in this country who don't have any form of identity. There are 75 million homeless people who don't have an address. There are hundreds of millions of migrants who don't have an identity. And the lack of identity is a huge burden on them because they can't access any public service, they can't get a mobile phone, they can't open a bank account, they can't get a ration card, simply because they can't prove who they are. And that's really the challenge that we are trying to fix. And this is true of all these services. And therefore, the purpose of this project is really to make sure those few hundred million people in this country who don't have any way of telling an agency who they are, is there a way we can help them with this unique number? And that's really what we're trying to do. So that's all we do for a living. We have no other purpose. We are just a guarantee of identity. That's all we say. If X claims is X, we'll tell you yes or no. That's all we'll do, nothing else. It's a highly minimalistic approach to designing a system. But this number that we give does not guarantee anything. It is not a nationality. So this is not a number saying you're a citizen. This does not give any benefits. This does not give any entitlements. This does not give any perquisites. It's just a number to say who you are, who you are. And that's the basic concept that we have. And what we have done is we have gone and had a multiple partner strategy. Because our goal is to fill up this tank as soon as possible. So we will have multiple partners. For example, every state government is a partner. And